Hello everyone, my name is Syria Ray and I would like to welcome you all to Ray's World, my brand new show where I'll be discussing the various geopolitical dynamics, security related undercurrents and culturally relevant events primarily of the Middle East and Africa region. This is our inaugural episode. As you are all aware, a massive tectonic shift took place last month in the Levant region, more specifically in Syria. With the ending of the 54-year-old Assad family rule, opposition forces under the umbrella of HTS or Hayat Tahrir al-Sham under the command of Mr. Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, who has now reverted back to his previous name of Ahmed al-Shara, dethroned Mr. Bashar al-Assad. In today's episode, we will be discussing the situation in Syria post-Assad. And we will also try to compare the situation in Syria with another country where similarly a ruthless dictator was overthrown by opposition forces. I am delighted to welcome Ambassador Soumen Ray, who has served extensively across the Middle East and Africa as part of the Indian Diplomatic Corps. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Ambassador Ray served as the Deputy Chief of Mission in Damascus during the period 2006 and 2010, just a year before the outburst of civil war in Syria. Before the civil war, Syria was a middle-income country which was self-sufficient in the production of food grains, fruits and vegetables. Peaches, apricots, grapes and apples of Syria were famous all across the Middle East. In fact, Syria also manufactured electrical appliances, ready-made garments and medicines. Notably, all of the above items used to be exported outside of Syria after satisfying domestic consumption needs. Before the civil war, Syria used to also extract approximately 450,000 barrels per day of crude oil from its oil fields in the eastern part of Syria bordering the northern Iraqi oil fields. Syrian domestic crude oil requirements at the time was approximately 70,000 barrels per day, which comes out to approximately a sixth of the daily extracted quantity. This used to be refined in the refineries in the Banyas region. The rest of the crude oil was exported. Thus, Syria enjoyed a good export economy back then. The law and order situation in Syria at that time was also very good, with the people being able to freely roam around the towns and cities of Syria. In fact, sir, I remember visiting you and our family in Damascus on a Christmas holiday during your tenure there.
That's right, I can remember.
Who can forget those days when we would roam around the ancient streets of old Damascus, right behind the Umayyad Mosque, which is where Mr. al-Shara delivered his maiden speech after the HTS marched into Damascus after Bashar al-Assad fled Syria for Russia. I have lovely memories of driving up the famous, or rather infamous, M5 expressway with our family friends to Aleppo and shopping for hours at the old souk there, not to mention spending a few days of relaxation in the beach resorts of Latakia near Tartus, where presently the Russian naval base is stationed. Finally, a fond memory of us leisurely smoking the nargila or hubble bubble while drinking strong Turkish coffee on top of Mount Kannaus, looking over beautiful Damascus city while watching elderly Syrian gentlemen playing domino. How things have changed since then. Under these circumstances, sir, how do you see the situation in Syria today?
Well, there's a big question. How do I feel? Syrian Arab Republic, I've got very fond memories of that country. I served there for almost 4 years and saw the country, a beautiful one. It was like an oasis in the Middle East. There was war going on in Lebanon, in Iraq, the situation was not good. In Palestine, the resistance forces were fighting the Israelis. In Lebanon, during my tenure, there was a war between literally a war between the Hezbollah of a proxy of Iran and Israel. It continued for 34 days, I think. But nothing happened in Syria during my tenure. But it's a very fragmented country today. Look at its present map and see for yourself how the different areas are controlled by various groups there. That is, from the northern Aleppo to the farthest eastern city of Deir Zor and surrounding areas bordering Iraq is under Kurdish people, who have organized themselves as Syrian Democratic Forces or SDF, getting massive military hardware and huge financial assistance from the US for guarding tens and thousands of, I think around 70,000 unwanted ISIS militants and their families. The Kurdish are the US vanguard, in fact, I would say, against the ISIS rebels. However, a tiny patch around 150 to 15 to 120 kilometers are controlled by the Kurdish people, who are supported by the Turkish government, so that the Kurdish people who are in Turkey, and they have a party called PKK, and whenever there is onslaughts on those Turkish Kurdish people, they used to flee behind the border and came and took shelter there. So Turkey wanted a buffer zone in that area, northern Syria, from north to northwest, and a tiny part, as I say, is under the control of a Kurdish people helped by the Turkish. It's 150 from 15 kilometers to 20 kilometers. It's from Tal Abayad to Ras Al Khaim, this area. So you can see the Kurdish controlled area in Syria is around 40%. Look at the map. It's around 40% of the country's territory. The Kurdish people are not Arab minded. They have different language and different culture. The various Sunni jihadis opposition groups, including the most powerful Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, controls the northwestern, I would say, northwestern and central part of Syria, because the southern part of Syria is now under the control of, that is the Quneitra district, is now under the control of
The Israel.
under the Israel occupation. That's
Right.
better to say. They had conquered 2/3 of the Golan Heights, the beautiful mountain. I had many times went there, because we had got Indian forces stationed there as members of UNDOF, United Nations Disengagement Observation Forces. So I had visited that place.
You
many
mentioned
times.
this in your book also.
Yeah, I have
You
mentioned in the book.
Went on Diwali, I think.
Yeah.
with the Sikh
That was
regiment.
one of the visits. And they have now, after the fall of Bashar, they have occupied the rest 1/3. Initially, they said that it will be temporary, but now they are saying that it will be for the for foreseeable future. Okay. So this is Syria, and in the western part, the provinces of Latakia and Tartus, which are inhabited by the Alawite sect of Islam, they are actually Shias, and they are the power base. They have been the power base of the Assad family
Right.
for many years. They detest the Sunnis, and it's vice versa. Sunnis also detest the Shias.
It's an age-old
age-old friction between the two sects. So the western region, that is Latakia and Tartus provinces, those two are practically not within the firm grip of the
Sunnis.
of the ruling Islamist opposition groups. Now, just oppose the country's present political map with that of Syrian Arab Republic, which was established in 1946. From Dezor in the Far East to the Mediterranean Sea, there is the Latakia and Tartus, that areas. From the north, I would say from the borders of Turkey down to the Golan Heights region, there is a Mount Hermon mountains, was under Syrian Arab Republic.
Right.
A new country was made or established, that is Lebanon, which was under the Ottoman rule, but it was a separate province. So the whole area was a what should I say, was a unified country. Now, what I feel is that the hands of time has been turned back in Syria. The region between Tigris and Euphrates River were under the whole areas, or the whole territory, I will say. Whole territory was under the Ottoman rule for 400 years. And they had 3 provinces. They didn't say, in Turkey, it's called vilayets. So there were 3 vilayets, 3 provinces, under the governance of 3 pashas. Pashas means governors, under the 3 pashas. So the vilayet of Damascus, the vilayet of Aleppo, and the vilayet of Deir Zor.
Right.
So from 3 different places, it is to be
Like 3 provinces.
3 provinces. So it was not a country as such.
Right.
Then after the First World War, the territory came under French mandate. French also had 3 administrative units. They called it states. Look at the map. You can see that there was the state of Damascus, or state of Damascus, the state of
Aleppo, I think.
Aleppo,
Right.
and
the Alawites.
Dezor was merged with Damascus.
Right.
Okay, so there is a Damascus state, and Aleppo state.
Right.
But the state of, there is the autonomous state for the Alawites. Okay. This is the position. Now, when Syrian Arab Republic was established in 1946, after the French mandate was over, the country became a unified country with a territory, as I told you before. So, you can see for the situation how it was bifurcated, it was
Divided into
divided to three regions, and it was united. The name Syria was derived, to my knowledge, from the Assyrian civilization,
right.
which was in the, it's an ancient, during the Mesopotamian era. The remnants of those are ruins of that Assyrian civilization is still now found near Damascus. It's a place called Malula. It's around 55 to 60 kilometers west of
Right. I wonder
Damascus.
if they're still there or if they have been destroyed during the civil war. I mean, at that time.
I wonder. But I do not think that the churches have been destroyed, because I have not heard, because those are very near to Damascus,
Right.
and there was no fighting
Right.
in that area. There is no fighting in that area.
Yeah, no, I remember we visited those churches and those
Yeah.
Assyrian ruins.
You remember there are three churches there, main three churches there,
Yeah.
and so old, and still it is the seat of Assyrian sect of Christian Orthodox, and the monks are there, all made up, all the churches are made with stones, and the steps are so high,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, sir, thank you for elaborating and giving us a sort of historical contextual background of where Syria stands. In your rich experience in working on diplomatic assignment in different conflict zones, is the Syrian situation comparable to any other country where a dictator has been overthrown by the opposition?
Well, it will not be far-fetched, I think, with compare how Bashar al-Assad or Assad family has been dethroned with that of Somalia.
Right, in the Horn of Africa.
In the Horn of Africa, where President Syed Barre was also ousted from power. With, I would say, there are so many similarities,
right,
between the, Somalia, as we know as Somalia as a country, but now it's no more a country. It was a country, and I had served there,
right,
for 3 years,
right,
from 1987 to 1990, September 1990.
But that was your second assignment after
That was my
Baghdad,
second assignment.
where I was born in 85.
after Iraq. Now the whole Horn of Africa is inhabited by an African tribe called Somalis. Okay, the Horn was like, as Syria was controlled by, Syria was, I would say, Syria was under Ottoman rule and French mandate. Here also, Somalia was under two colonial powers.
Right,
On the north, there was the British Somalia, and in the south, there was the Italian Somalia. In the north, British Somalia, the medium of instruction in the schools was in English, Judicial system followed the British judicial laws. All government activities or government business used to be transacted in English.
Right.
And there was some sort of British culture among the upper echelons of the society. While in the south, everything was Italian. Okay. But unlike Syria, here in Somalia, in Syria there are Druze people, as I told you. They speak different language.
The
They've got culture.
The
The Kurdish people, they have got different language, different culture. But here in Somalia, both in northern Somalia and southern Somalia, they have got one language and one culture. Okay. So that's the situation there. And the Somalis never forgot their old, or I would say ancient, it's an ancient tribe,
Right.
ancient culture. So these two regions, two colonies were there. In 1950, it was decided by the international community that Somalia, after Second World War, many countries, the wind of change was blowing over Africa, as
Right.
Winston Churchill had said.
Right.
Many African countries got independence after the Second World War. So in 1950, it was decided that Somalia will be granted independence. However, they had got a 10 years time. 10 years, a time frame of 10 years was given to the colonial powers to train
Right.
the Somalis for how to govern the country,
Right.
to set up democratic institutions.
Right.
So
the civil service
how
was being-
to provide the civil services and things like that. So it took 10 years. So after 10 years, Somali Republic was born. Later on, its name was changed to Somali Democratic Republic. When I was there, it was Somali Democratic Republic.
Okay.
The first 6 years, I would say 6 years and a half, were the golden period of Somalia. Somalia, if you look at the map again, Somalia is situated in the north, is the Sea of Aden, or what do you call it? Gulf of Aden. In the north it is Gulf of Aden, and the eastern and southern side is covered by Indian Ocean. Okay. And the northern tip, where there is a small port at Barre, Britishers developed it because it was en route for their supply ships from
Britain
to the crown of
the British Empire.
crown jewel, the jewel on the British crown, that is India.
Yeah.
So they developed that. So it was a good place. So the Soviet Union during the Cold War period, Soviet Union embraced Somalia with open hands, and it gave money, both financial assistance to develop the country and military hardware to defend it. So much so that Somalia was known as, or came to be known as, or beginning to be known as, the Switzerland of Africa.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, it was so good, so beautiful the place was.
Yeah.
After the death of the first president, the second president was he democratically elected, was Shermerke, if I remember well, was Shermerke.
Right.
But during his rule, corruption crept in Somalia in all government departments.
Right.
And there was serious public grievances against the government. After 2 years, he was assassinated.
Right. Okay.
And a third president was elected, or there's a gap in the history whether he was elected or he was selected or he was nominated, but within 6 days he was assassinated or he was removed. No, he was removed.
Right.
Through a bloodless coup
Right.
by the chief of Somali National Army, Major General Muhammad Syed Barre. Okay. Syed Barre also started well, and like Bashar al-Assad of Syria,
Right.
Muhammad Syed Barre was accepted by the people, and they used to call him as the people's president, as Bashar was also during his initial period.
Yeah, he was
when he started the reforms and all these things after a long period of Assad's rule.
Hafiz
al-Assad's
right.
rule. That's why I said that the comparison is good.
Yeah.
But what Syed Barre did is a misadventure. A part of the Horn of Africa, after the Second World War, when the new country was framed, the Somali Republic was established, a part of Somalia, a part of areas which was completely inhabited by the Somalis, there is the Ogaden region. In Ogaden region, that was given to the Ethiopians.
Right.
Okay, so it came under because all the boundaries in Africa are I would say India as well. In some parts of the India, it's also they drew line on a piece of paper and said that this is yours and this is yours.
Yeah.
So Ogaden region.
No, you mean in the subcontinent?
In the Indian subcontinent as well, it happened.
Yeah.
Say the Afghans do not recognize the Durand line.
Right.
And the Pakistan claim the Durand line is the line which differentiates Afghanistan and Pakistan.
Right.
So they didn't recognize. Somalis didn't recognize. So it's a misadventure, or I would say the adventuristic war against the Ethiopians. But in that war, Ethiopia got the upper hand because they got more Russian help.
Right.
As the Russians, Soviet I would say rather, during this period, the Soviets had found out that President Mengistu of Ethiopia was more Marxist than President Syed Barre.
Right.
So that's the
Stories.
I will say story goes, and they supported wholeheartedly the Ethiopian government. So Somalis were defeated. This defeat not only drained national wealth, there was dissentment among the military also, military ranks, especially among the especially in the middle rank officials.
Right.
Okay, that why we were fine, we are doing fine, all of a sudden to bring another country's region, now for all practical purpose it is another country. So why we went to war? But during that war, one officer, he was colonel at that time, he showed exemplary valor. His name was, at that time he was Colonel Muhammad Aidid, Muhammad Farah Aidid, his full name. He showed exceptional valor and loyalty to President Syed Barre. So Syed Barre promoted him to the rank of Brigadier General.
Right.
From the colonel it should be brigadier, but he promoted to Brigadier General. So initially he was appointed as aide de camp, that is, principal advisor of president. Then he was made the Minister of Intelligence. During his service, he also served, now Brigadier General Aidid, or in short you can call him Aidid.
Yeah.
Aidid served in the, he was posted.
Sorry to interrupt you, but who was made famous in the movie Black Hawk Down?
Well, it is he who became the warlords.
Right.
After all, we'll come to that stage a little later.
Sure.
Aidid was his right hand man, but after the Ogaden war, when the popularity of Mohammad Syed Barre was on downhill, he followed Bashar al-Assad, who did it at a much later period.
Right.
Barre hailed from a relatively smaller clan. Somalia has got one tribe, that is Somali tribe, but there are other clans. He appointed people at the key posts in all the military, all the government departments and in military from his own clan, Marehan, and denying or discriminating against even the majority of the Somalis, or the major Somali clan, Dir, others big Somali clans like Hawiya, Hebergadir, the Ishaqs, the Majirtains.
Right.
So these people became more, unhappy. This man, Aidid, was a Hebergadir. Okay, he was not a Marehan. So when he was posted in the north, he cultivated the tribal chiefs there. So he was popular. He has got popularity among the military,
Right.
upper echelons of the military. He has support from the government, support from the president, and most importantly, he has support from the Hebergadir clan. They looked at him as their leader. You understand what I am saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm following.
So when Aidid became the intelligence minister,
Right.
he felt the nerve or felt the pulse of the country,
Right.
that people are going against Mohammad Syed Barre. So he suggested to Barre that why don't we we should organize or arrange general election throughout the country, and hand over power to a civilian government. In fact, this man, Aidid, was so clever that he was trying, like other military generals in other countries who did it later on, he wanted to float his own political party.
Right.
And he was almost confident that he would become the winner and he will become the president. Barre smelt it.
Right.
That
Something.
Right. something fishy is going on.
Dal mein kuch kala hai.
and he could be a contender.
Right.
But he didn't dare to arrest him because he has got large popularity, huge popularity. So he sent him to India.
Okay.
He sent him to India,
Right. So
or he posted him to India as Somali ambassador to India in 1984.
Right.
Okay. But coming to India, more than doing his diplomatic jobs, he was busy in organizing the opposition forces
Right.
of Mohammad Syed Barre in Somalia through his own people, own contacts.
Right.
Okay. In fact, he set up United Somali Congress.
Right.
Okay, United Somali Congress. So when he thought that his time is ripe, he defected.
Right. I did.
Defected from the government.
Right.
In fact, I was chargé d'affaires
Right.
of Indian embassy there
In Mogadishu.
in Mogadishu, and when I defected, they immediately appointed Muhammad Ibrahim Igal.
Right.
Okay, he's an Ishaq. He's not also Marhan. He was also an Ishaq.
Right.
As Somali ambassador to India.
Right.
And I was called by the Foreign Office
Right.
that we want to send him.
Right.
And here in Delhi, Brigadier ID is saying, or Ambassador ID is saying that I represent Somalia.
Right.
It's okay. I don't recognize Barre's government.
Right.
So I had to say that, consulting Delhi, we had to say that we cannot have two ambassadors.
Of course.
Now we recognize Somali Democratic Republic as an independent country,
Right.
and whoever the government of Somalia will send, we
Right.
will accept him as a
Ambassador.
Somali ambassador to India. In fact, I had hosted Muhammad Ibrahim Igal at my residence before he came to India.
Right.
And his daughter, I still remember her name, Asha Igal. She was the first secretary political at that time.
Right.
Because when I visited Delhi during my home leave, I went to pay courtesy call of the Somali ambassador, Brigadier Aidid, and it was Asha who
Right.
accompanied me, escorted me
Yeah.
from the reception
Yeah.
or the waiting area
Right.
to Brigadier Aidid's room.
Right. And then
Okay.
later he defected and her father came.
Later he defected and his father came as ambassador. So we have got a nice story to
Right.
we shared, me and Ibrahim Igal at our place. I still remember by our house in central Mogadishu. Well, it was an old colonial Italian mansion.
Right.
So so when we conveyed through our Foreign Office that look, there is a new ambassador, we sent a note verbal from Foreign Office, our Minister of External Affairs, to them, and we told them that this is the new ambassador. So Aidid had got no alternative but to flee India and covertly entered Somalia.
Right.
Okay. Coming back to Somalia, what he did, he organized his clan members, which was already organized, who were already organized, and like HTS
Yeah.
has organized all the
Different factions.
factions in northern and northeastern Syria under the umbrella of military operation command. Okay, military operation command. This is what Al-Jolani had done. So similarly, Brigadier Aidid organized all the clan members,
Right.
especially from Hebargadir, his own clan members, Majetain, the Ishaqs, okay,
Right.
the Deeds, the Hawiyas, okay, and Barre was overthrown.
Right.
So you see that there is some similarity,
Quite a bit of similarity.
quite a bit of similarity,
Yeah.
because you can say that there cannot be every country's political developments or political upheavals are unique.
Correct.
You cannot compare.
Right. Exactly.
You cannot compare. It's like comparing an apple and orange.
Right.
However, the similarities are more.
Right. Right.
Similarities are more.
Right. Sir, you mentioned that you had left Syria just approximately a year before the outbreak of violence there. As luck would have had it, you had left Mogadishu also in the nick of time and in fact witnessed some violence yourself. Please tell us a little bit about your final days in Mogadishu.
Oh, that was horrible. Those days were literally horrible. Civil war has already started.
Right.
In fact, it started in the northern part Ishaq dominated areas in Hargeisa and all, and we had got Indian people also there.
Right.
But it was suppressed by the government forces, mainly by aerial bombing.
Right.
Led by Syed Barre's son-in-law, Captain Morgan.
Right.
He was also, I knew him very well.
Right.
And he was a smart young officer. He was captain, smart young. He was the bodyguard of Syed Barre.
Right.
And he married, he fell in love with Syed Barre's daughter.
Right.
And they married.
Right.
Incidentally, recently I come across a picture of Morgan.
Right.
Now with long beard, flowing beard. When I left, there was the fighting, street by street fighting was going on in Mogadishu.
Right.
And in front of our house,
Okay. Yeah.
fightings were going on.
Yeah.
AK-47s,
Yeah. I actually have some faint memory. I mean, I was
You were a toddler at that time.
3-4 years old,
3-4
but I have
years,
some faint memory of
That's
opening the
right.
curtains and seeing.
Right.
Anyway, sir, please.
Right. So and I left Somalia in September or October of 1990, and the president was overthrown in January or February of the
Right.
following year. So when I left, I could sense that Muhammad Syed Barre's days were literally limited, and he was allowed to count his days.
Right. Sure.
So like Syria, when I left Syria in 2010, I was smelling the gunpowder.
Right.
But when I left Mogadishu, I saw gunpowder.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
left, right, and center in front of our house and this whole city.
Right.
In those last days, I had to organize evacuation of most of our embassy officials from there to Nairobi. Though I had to be there because I was the charge of affairs at that time, the ambassador. In fact, there was an ambassador for a few months, and seeing the condition of the country, he came back to India for medical treatment, but he never returned, and I had to bear the flag. So I had to arrange the evacuation of most of the Indian families, children, women. Only a skeleton staff I kept with me. Then we had got an Indian school. There is the only English medium school in Mogadishu, besides the American school, which the Somalis could not afford, or the resident Indians could not afford.
Right.
So we had an Indian school.
Right.
Funded by Government of India,
Right.
mainly by the Ministry of External Affairs.
Right.
So I had to close the school. It's a
Right.
huge,
Task.
huge task.
Right.
So those are the things I had to complete. I thought that I had to burn out the important documents and all these things.
Right. It's fascinating experience, sir.
Well, fascinating. From hindsight, we are saying fascinating.
Yeah.
But when we are there actually,
Right.
you know what fascination means.
Of course. No, definitely we will definitely delve deeper into this, your experience in Mogadishu in subsequent episodes. So my final sort of question to you this time is that you had mentioned Malula and
Now, before you go there
yeah,
to Malula,
sure.
I would like to deal with the Somalia and Syria
Correct.
a little bit,
Of course.
if you allow me, if
Yeah,
the time
please.
permits.
It's all yours.
There is another close similarity of events that that immensely caused the downfall of two regimes.
Right.
Okay. We told that how Aidid was instrumental in overthrowing General Aidid, General Syed Barre. In Syria, there are practically two persons. One is Abdul Halim Khaddam,
Right.
who served as vice president under
Hafiz.
Hafiz al-Assad.
Right. Yeah.
And he was the right hand man of Hafiz al-Assad.
Right.
He had joined Baath Party in 1949.
Right.
3 years before Hafiz al-Assad joined the military academy in Homs to
Right.
become an Air Force pilot.
Right.
Okay. There is another close similarity of events that immensely caused downfall of Syed Barre and
Bashar al-Assad.
Bashar al-Assad. We have said earlier that how the machination of Syed Barre led Aidid to go against him, and finally, in fact, he was his right hand man, Aidid,
Right.
and because of his machinations, he became an opposition figure and ultimately overthrew him. In the case of Syria, Abdul Halim Khaddam, he was the vice president of Syria under Hafiz al-Assad. He had joined Baath Party in 1949, 3 years before this
Hafiz
Hafiz al-Assad joined the military academy in Homs. When Baath Party came into power in 1963, Hafiz al-Assad was one of the military officers. He was not the president. And on the basis of his advice mainly, this Khaddam was appointed as the governor of Quneitra.
Right.
Okay. Then he was appointed as the governor of Aleppo.
Right.
Then he came to the most important post of governor of Damascus province.
Right.
Okay. The most important portfolio at that time was the Lebanon portfolio for the Syrian government, because in 1975 Syrian government was Hafiz al-Assad personally was assigned by the Arab League to bring peace in war ravaged civil war ravaged Lebanon.
Right.
Okay, which he did very nicely from between 1975 to 1989 till the Taif agreement. During these 15 years, he brought it under control, but it continued under the Syrian army. But while doing so, Hafiz al-Assad had colonized Lebanon.
Right.
Every branch of administration, secret service, military were under his control. Okay, under Hafiz's control. And Hafiz gave the Lebanese portfolio to Khaddam. And what Khaddam did, Khaddam and other military officers, they started doing brisk business to Lebanon. And some of the business were clandestine, even. And this man Khaddam, he made a partnership with 2 times Prime Minister of Lebanon, Rafiq Hariri, who himself was a billionaire, and amassed huge amount of money. Most of that money was stashed in Paris. Okay. And Khaddam was a Sunni.
Right.
He was not an Alawite.
Right.
Okay. And there is no Sunni politician rose to that high level
At that time.
at that time.
Right.
Okay. So the Sunnis in Syria is a Sunni majority country.
Right.
So the Sunnis were expecting that after Hafez,
Yeah.
he will become the president.
Right.
Because by that time, since 1985, Hafez developed serious cardiac problem.
Right.
In fact, he set up a work 6-member cabinet committee.
Right.
Khaddam was also a member of that committee to run the government. Then he developed leukemia. He
Right.
died of leukemia finally in 1999 or
Hafez.
2000, Hafez. So every Sunni thought that he will be the
Next president.
next president.
Yeah.
But
And
when he died,
And the elder son had also died.
elder son has also died. Bashar al-Assad has also died.
Yeah.
So everybody thought that, he will. But when Hafez died, the Alawite strongman chose his second son, Bashar al-Assad, who was also being groomed by his father
Right.
to become the president. But he was inexperienced. So the Sunnis said that, such an experienced elderly gentleman,
Yeah.
he will be our next president.
Yeah.
Experienced, rich experience in governance,
Yeah.
he will be the next president. But Bashar, what he did, he kept him as vice president.
Right. He sidelined him.
He sidelined him. In fact, Khaddam became the interim president for a few days.
Right.
Till the time the parliament, Syrian parliament took
Right.
to amend the constitution, because he was 36 years of age at that time, Bashar, and the Syrian constitution stipulated that the minimum age of the president would be 40.
Right.
So during that period of constitution amendment, Khaddam was the president.
Yeah.
Khaddam became again vice president,
Yeah.
and without any portfolio.
Right. Okay.
Without any portfolio. He used to go to the office, come back home.
Right.
No job,
Right.
no ceremonial job even.
Right.
Okay. Then in the year 2005, these 4-5 years, he led literally an ignominious life.
Right.
Was the most powerful man, powerful politician,
Yeah.
became so irrelevant in the
Right.
present dispensation.
Right.
What would be his condition?
It's humiliating.
Humiliated.
Right.
That's why I say that ignominious life.
Right.
So in 2005, at the ripe age of 73, he said that enough is enough. I want to retire from service now.
Right.
Okay. And I will go to Paris
Yeah.
and write my memoir.
Right.
With his family, all his family members, he left for Paris,
Yeah.
but he didn't write his memoir. Immediately, he started spitting venom
Right.
against Bashar, and he contacted a fellow Sunni in another European country. His name is Ali Sadruddin Al-Bayanuni, if I can remember well. He was the chief of Muslim Brotherhood of Syria in exile.
Right.
Okay. Hafez al-Assad,
He banned the Muslim.
he banned Muslim Brotherhood in Syria because of their Islamic activities and violent activities.
The extremist.
Extremism.
violent
He went to
activities.
Jordan. He was in Jordan for some time, but then he left for Europe and settled there.
Right.
So Khaddam contacted a fellow, and he hails from Aleppo. He hails from Aleppo from a family, Bayanani. He is from Aleppo from a family which was a Islamist, Sunni Islamist theologist, okay,
Right.
who has got a large number of followers there.
Right.
Okay, so he contacted him. They met together in Brussels
Right.
and set up a government in exile.
Okay.
And in 2005, late 2005 or early 2010, these two persons announced that the countdown for Bashar al-Assad's downfall starts now.
Right.
Okay, to quote them.
Right.
And with their clarion call, the Sunnis of Syria
Right.
thought or realized that their time has come now,
Right.
because they have got the orders rather,
Right.
or request or order, I would say order,
Right.
from their leader, both
Right.
political and religious,
Right.
to revolt against the government.
Right.
So you will see that Aleppo, from where Bayanuni originated and hailed, was the fiercest opposition fightings during the civil war.
Right.
It was Aleppo.
Right.
Battle for Aleppo is famous.
Right. Right.
Okay.
So they sort of sowed the seeds of opposition back then.
Absolutely. And in fact, in 2007, when I was living and serving in Damascus,
Yeah.
the first anti-government or first car bomb
Right.
was blast
Yeah.
on the Beirut street,
Right.
which is around 500 meters from my residence.
Right.
Okay. And it was followed by other incidents,
Right.
similar incidents.
Right.
Okay. But this Syrian government did not have any clue who were behind this.
Right. At that time.
Mainly at that time, mainly because there was a blockage of flow of information or terrorist information sharing between the US and the Five Eyes members and
Syria.
Syria, when Syrian Accountability Act was enacted in December 2003 or January 2004.
During the Iraq War, in the beginning of the Iraq War.
Just after the Iraq War,
Right.
because he declared in the State of Nation address that the axis of evil,
Yeah.
and along with Iran,
Yeah.
Syria figured there in that list. So
Right.
after Iraq, Syria was the target. So
Right.
Syria was asked to hand over the Hamas and Hezbollah, all support to them. Even Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, PKLA, PFLP. So they could not do it. That's another story. You can have another episode on that.
Sure.
So these two people have in fact started,
Right.
are behind, as Aidid was behind the
opposition.
Somali opposition. These two persons was
Bayanuni
and Khaddam.
Right.
They were the two persons
Right.
who were practically, I would say, that who were responsible for starting
Right.
anti-Bashar movement
Right.
in Syria much before the civil war started.
In 2011.
In 2011 actually started from a small place called
Yeah.
Dara in the eastern Syria, a small town. From
Right.
there, it started as a political movement for
Yeah.
more freedom and all.
It was a domino effect of
It's
the
a
Arab
domino
Spring.
effect of Arab Spring, you can
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
And so Khaddam but this man, Aidid,
Yeah.
he himself could see the downfall, and he also became president for some time.
Yeah.
And started civil war started, the rest is history.
Yeah.
He became the warlord,
Yeah. And then he was.
and to kill him, there's a $10 million prize, and two Black Hawks were down
Yeah.
during the American,
They were hunting him.
American
He was hunted by the
hunted by
Americans,
them. So Black Hawk Down, you must have seen that film.
Yeah.
So Aidid could see the
Yeah.
things, but this poor fellow, by Khaddam,
Yeah.
he could not see the downfall of Bashar al-Assad. He died in exile in Europe in 2020. Okay, that's 4 years before.
Yeah.
But Bayanuni is still alive,
Right.
though he has no connection with he has got connection. He left the leadership of. He's not in the leadership of Muslim Brotherhood.
Right.
Okay, but he could see
Yeah.
the son of his nemesis,
Yeah.
Hafez,
Yeah.
has been dethroned.
Right. Fascinating, sir. Sir, you mentioned, just to now go back to Syria, since that's the hot spot right now. You mentioned Malula, and I, very fondly again remember visiting with you the ancient ruins of the Assyrian civilization there. Not only that, we had attended an intimate prayer meeting in a 2,000-year-old church over there during your tenure. Sir, I'd request you to kindly share your perspective on the rich multi-layered texture of Syrian society.
Well, Malula. In Malula, there are quite a few villages where people, when I first went there, I was amazed, they don't speak Arabic. They speak a language called Aramaic, which was spoken by
Jesus Christ.
Right. So that thing is coming down till now.
Right.
Okay, still there, that civilization and that. In churches of Malula, I told you before that there were 3 main churches.
Right.
The beams fixed on the ceiling are made with cedar wood.
Right.
And by carbon testing method, they have found out that those are more than 2,000 years old.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
In fact, that is before Jesus Christ. In fact, those were Roman temples.
Right. Roman fire temples.
Fire temples.
Yeah.
And they converted it. Even if you are also with me, if you can remember, the altar also resembled the Roman fire temple.
Right.
And they have changed it, converted it as a Christian altar.
Yeah, we weren't allowed to take any photographs.
We are not allowed to take any photographs inside there.
Yeah, I remember.
Similarly, but they have maintained this. Syrian government has maintained this.
Yeah, at that time they had.
At that time.
Yeah.
All said and done.
Yeah.
Syrian government did not, the Assad family did not do these harms.
Yeah.
And you remember, our visit to Umayyad Mosque.
Right, yeah.
Now, Umayyad Mosque, if you can remember, there is a small place where the legend says that Saint John Baptist's head was buried. Okay, that cemetery is still there.
Right.
And when that's much before Islam came into being.
Yeah.
So there was a cemetery. So when Al-Walid, the first Umayyad ruler of Syria in 8th century, built a mosque.
Right.
Because Damascus was the first
seat of power
of the Islamic seat of power outside Arabia.
Right.
Okay, first seat of power. So he built to honor or to celebrate that. He built a mosque there.
Right.
Which was, he built a small mosque.
Yeah.
Medium-sized mosque at that time. But he did not destroy the cemetery of
John
the Baptist.
Right.
It is still now there, and the Muslims also pray there.
Right.
Isn't it?
Right, yeah.
And there are 4 pillars there.
Right.
And one of the pillars, they say that this is the pillar.
Yeah, the Minaret of Isa.
Minarat al-Isa.
Yeah.
This is the pillar through which Jesus will come down to earth.
The second coming of Christ.
As the second coming of Christ, because they also, Islam also believes that Christ is one of their prophets.
Correct.
Okay. So these are the textures. These are the multi-layered textures of Syrian society.
Right.
They are not, fundamentalists.
Right.
These are the common people of Syria.
Right.
The Christians are there. The Jewish people are there. Who believes in some prophets of Islam and some prophets of Christianity. So
they also believe in reincarnation.
They also believe in reincarnation. There the Kurds,
Yeah.
which is who do not claim to be Arab, who are not Arabs.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a multi-layered
Yeah.
texture of the Syrian society.
Right. Right. So, sir, can you tell us what is your final take on Syria?
Well, final take. I can say it's encouraging. See that the present de facto ruler of Syria, Ahmed al-Shara, who has been now, who is now being addressed as such, because when he was a fundamentalist and terrorist serving in Al-Qaeda, he was known as Abu Muhammad al-Julani. And in that part of the world, people are known by their first son's name. Abu means father, Muhammad. Abu Muhammad is Muhammad's father. Al-Julani, there's in Arabic, the Golan Heights is known as Julan.
Right.
Jabal Julan. Jabal
Right.
means mountain.
Right.
So his family hails from there. So he was known as Abu Muhammad al-Julani.
Right.
His real name was Ahmed al-Shara. So it's encouraging to see that he is trying to start some sort of reconciliation meetings, that is to iron out the differences among the all various opposition groups, though it's an uphill task, I would say, but
Right.
still he is trying. The Western countries are watching very keenly and noticed that he has not imposed strict Shariat law, which he did while he was
In Idlib.
in Idlib.
Right.
And his prime minister, who was the minister of religious in Idlib,
Right.
where Shariat laws were enforced, he is not the prime minister.
Right.
But he has not enforced Shariat law.
Right.
The restaurants, bars have been allowed to function.
Right.
As I told you that Aleppo was one of my favorite places in Syria. I used to go there frequently,
Right.
using that in your vocabulary, famous, now infamous
M5
expressway.
Yeah.
And after crossing Damascus, you see the desert areas of Kalamoun mountain range.
Right.
But once you cross that Kalamoun mountain range, while you are approaching Homs, which is around 150 kilometers from Damascus, you see the olive green both the sides of the trees, of the streets, because that's the olive growing area. And once you crossed Homs,
Yeah.
it's up to a Hama, I would say. It's up to
Yeah.
Hama. Once you cross Hama, you get, pinkish almond plants on both the sides. So I remember those. I wish to go back there.
Right.
But getting the positive signals or positive, all correct things, I will say, being said and being implemented by
Ahmed
Shara, I feel like going there on a long vacation,
Right.
maybe a month or so even.
Right.
I won't have to pay for any hotel bills.
Right. How?
Because I have got so many friends
Right.
with whom both the Kurds, I have Kurdish friends there living there.
Right.
In Aleppo, I have got Armenian friends.
Right.
In fact, one of the Armenian friends had called me,
Right.
and in fact, I had called him, but he didn't reply. He called me back,
Right.
and he's an Armenian, and I used to visit his place very frequently. He's an Armenian businessman, and he's the honorary consul of India in Aleppo.
Right.
Sitting in his room, I could see the citadel of Aleppo. So he told me, he's a businessman also, he told me that, I won't take his name, he told me that even the bars are open there.
Right.
And the leaders of the opposition groups, fundamentalist Islamists, they are telling that, he said that my Armenian friends who sell alcohol there, who runs bar, they stacked all their alcohol bottles in store. But he said, you run your business as usual.
Right.
So I want to go back there.
Right.
Again, situation is improving.
Right.
And hope it will come back to its original shape. And I have to go to Aleppo using that M5 expressway.
Sure.
Then I would spend a couple of days in Latakia. I have got Alawite friends in Latakia. In Tartus, I can take his name also. He is Mr. Arnok. He is a Christian. I stayed at his home. I had lunch many times at his place. So I won't have any accommodation problem. I will stay in Tartus. I will enjoy the beaches of Latakia and Tartus. Then I want to visit the old restaurants behind the Umayyad Mosque. We visited Umayyad Mosque so many times.
Yeah.
It's a place to be believed.
Yeah.
Only seen to be believed.
Right.
It's a place only to be seen to be believed. All the heaven as depicted, as described in the Holy Quran,
Right.
has been painted.
Right.
Inside
the
the Umayyad Mosque.
Sure.
So I went to go to Umayyad Mosque, and after that I had to go to the restaurants there,
Right.
where sit late at night,
Yeah.
watch the Turkish Sufi dances there.
Right.
We was there, so I want to do those things again,
Right.
and to relive the good old days. And I hope at the beginning, I think I have said that hands of time has been turned back. So now again I am saying that I hope that the hands of time will come back will be turned back in Syria,
Right.
in very near future. And I am wishing all the Syrians to regain their own vibrancy.
Sure. Now, definitely, thank you, sir, for your fascinating perspective and on Syria and comparison between the other conflict zone where you serve, which is Mogadishu, Somalia.
Well, it's a more than 10 years, almost 15 years, and Somalia, how many years? It's 25 years now.
Yeah.
So just from my memories, I could juggle my memory,
Right.
and
Sure.
could say, I do not know whether
Yeah.
the viewers will like it or not, but I could do it to the best of my ability and with honesty.
Right. No, on that note, I definitely feel and wish that in the coming future, Syria adopts an all-inclusive, secular and democratic system.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
We
you,
hope
sir.
that you enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, it was lovely. Thank you. And on a final note, I'd like to dedicate a poem to the great people and rich, beautiful land of Syria. The poem, called Let My Country Awake, was written by the renowned Indian poet Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. Dear brothers and sisters of Syria, this is for you. Where the mind is without fear and the head held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depths of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom. My Father, let my country awake. I'd like to thank you all for joining us on our maiden episode. See you on the next one. Cheers, everyone.